welcome to Live on Tape on WOLV. My name is Alan Feinberg, and I'm an undergraduate here at the University of Michigan. One of my favorite activities is to laugh and make people laugh. So I thought I would go around the campus and ask people to tell me the best jokes that they've heard. We've compiled them together into a television program, and, well, enjoy.
Okay, my favorite joke is, how do you make a handkerchief dance?
How?
Put a little boogie in it. Okay.
Now, what's your favorite story or joke?
What goes ha-ha thump?
What?
A man laughing his head off.
As you can tell, I had so much fun with some of these jokes that I couldn't help laughing myself. Okay, we're here with Carrie Oster. She's from West Bloomfield, Michigan, and she's a senior. Let's go.
Okay, so here's the joke. So a man goes on a plane, and he sees this beautiful woman sitting in the seat right next door to him. And he turns to her, and they start talking, and they're both going to California. He's like, oh, what are you going out there for? And she's like, actually, I'm going to a Nymphomaniacs Anonymous conference. And he's like, really? She's like, well, actually, there's a little bit of information, some myths to dispel that I've learned from my years with this organization. She's like, actually, many think that it's the African-American male that's the most well-endowed. It's not true. It's the Native American male. He is the most well-endowed. And actually, another myth is that the Italian lovers are the best. But no, it's the Jewish American male. He's the best lover. And so they're going on talking. And as the plane is coasting into the runway, she turns to him and she's like, oh, I forgot to ask you your name. And he turns and he said, hi, Tonto Weinstein. Nice to meet you.
Okay, Jody Stone is here from New Jersey. So what's your joke?
Why'd the monkey fall out of the tree?
Why?
Because he was dead.
We're here with Tracy Roth. She's a student at LSNA from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. What's your favorite joke or story?
Okay, I heard this joke the other night at the bar. There's a man that walks into a bar, and there's another man sitting there. And the man says, it's in a really tall building, this bar. And the man says, you know, this building was positioned aerodynamically correct where you can jump out of the building and you will be flown around and come right back in without falling down. And the other guy says, no way, I don't believe it. And he's like, yeah, you should try it. And the man's like, no, I really don't think so. And the guy's like, here, I'll do it, and then I'll fly out, come back in, and I'll show you that it works, so you'll believe me. So you can try it. So the guy's like, okay. So he watches this stranger jump out of the building. He flies around, comes back in. He's like, wow, that was impressive. The other guy's like, now you try it. He's like, no, I still don't believe you. It's a little too risky. So he's like, well, I'll do it again. So he does it again, jumps out of the building, gets flown around, comes back in. He's like, okay, you try it. He's like, I don't know, I'm still a little scared. The building's kind of high. So he's like, okay, I'll do it one more time. After that, you have to try it. The guy's like, okay, if you do it 3 times, I'll believe you. So he jumps out of the building, gets flown around, comes back in. Is like, okay, it looks like fun. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'll do it. So the other guy jumps out of the building, falls down, dies. The bartender says, Superman, you're a mean drunk.
We're here with Jason Wilkinson from Colorado Springs, and he has a joke for us, I believe.
Okay. These 2 guys are sitting in the locker room shooting up heroin, and the one looks over at the other and he says, hey, where do you get your needles? He's like, well, I share. And the first guy says, well, aren't you afraid of getting AIDS? He's like, nah, I wear a condom.
All right.
It's about the only joke I can remember.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we're here with Josh Weinstock, and he's from Atlanta, Georgia. So what's your favorite joke?
There were 3 guys who were standing outside St. Peter's Gate, and there wasn't enough room, and St. Peter was like, I need you to tell me each way how you guys died in the most unique way. I'll let them in. So the first guy started. He was like, all right, listen up. I was standing at I came home from work because I was suspecting my wife was sleeping with another guy, and sure enough, I went up to the 26th floor of my apartment, and I saw a guy hanging out my balcony, and I saw him, and I started stomping on his hands, and the guy fell 26 stories. But unfortunately, he fell into a bush. So I looked down, and he wasn't dead. So I threw a freezer down on him, and he killed him. And the guy was like, wow, that's really weird. And then the next guy, he was like, all right, so what happened to you? The next guy was like, all right, I live on the 29th floor of some apartment, and I was cutting my flowers when I fell over the balcony and caught hold of one of the balcony banisters. And then some guy started stomping on my fingers, and I fell 26 floors, and then I looked up, and then the next thing I knew, there was a freezer on top of my head, and the guy was like, wow, that's really bad. And then the third guy came and goes, well, listen to this. I was in some guy's freezer naked.
We're here with Joanne Brownstein, and she's from New Jersey, and she's going to tell us a funny joke.
Okay. A bear and a rabbit were sitting in the forest, like, doing their business, and the bear said to the rabbit, he goes, listen, I have to ask you a question. It's really personal. The rabbit's like, go ahead. He goes, okay. When you go to the bathroom, you know, does, like, it stick to your fur? And the rabbit's like, oh, my God, no, that's gross. So the bear took the rabbit and he wiped himself with it.
We're here with Scott Sherman, who's a graduate student in the School of Natural Resources, and I think he has a couple jokes for us.
I hope so. Stop me if you've heard these before. Okay. There are these people on a ship, and they're going out on the high seas, and all of a sudden they see this pirate ship in the distance. Well, the captain immediately rushes to action, and he says, bring me my red shirt. Well, the sailors don't understand why he wants his red shirt, but sure enough, they bring him the red shirt, he puts it on, he leads them into battle, and they defeat the pirate ship. Then he takes off his red shirt, and they keep on sailing along. Well, they've gone a few more miles over the seas, and they see two pirate ships on the horizon. And again, the captain says, let's go to action, bring me my red shirt. And everybody says, why does he want his red shirt? But they follow his orders. He's the captain, and they bring him a red shirt. He puts it on. He leads them into battle. It's a fierce battle. There are cannonballs flying, and there are arrows flying. These are in the old days, of course. And it's just a crazy battle, but they emerge victorious. They defeat both pirate ships. So now the sailors are wondering, why? Why does he always ask us to bring that red shirt? So they say to the captain, could you explain this? And he says, well, you know, in the midst of battle, there's a very good chance that I'm going to get injured and wounded, and I could start bleeding. And if you sailors saw that I was bleeding, you might get really worried and lose courage and give up the fight. So I figured if I'm wearing a red shirt, you wouldn't be able to see that I'm bleeding, and you would think that I'm strong and leading you into battle, and that helps your morale, and that's why we've helped become victorious in these battles. So the sailors say to themselves, this is wonderful. Our captain is such a brave individual. He really is a wonderful leader. Well, they've only had a few seconds to think about this when all of a sudden they see 10 pirate ships on the horizon coming towards them, and the captain immediately calls out, bring me my brown pants. Okay.
We're here with Kim Feinberg. She's a senior from Boca Raton, Florida, and she has a joke for us.
Yes. My joke is, okay, there's a horse and a baby chicken, and they're living on a farm, and they're going to play in the fields. So they're running across the fields, and the horse falls in a hole, great big hole, up to his neck, can't get out. Help, help, he says to the chicken, go get Farmer Jack, get me out. So the little chickie runs back to the farmhouse, gets Farmer Jack. Farmer Jack comes back with his Mercedes. They strap it around the horse, pull, 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 pull him out. Everything's good. Okay, Farmer Jack goes back to the barn. Chick and the horse are playing around. About 5 minutes later, the chick falls in the hole. Oh my gosh, please, horse, horse, go get Farmer Jack. Get me out, get me out. So the horse straddles over the hole and throws his penis down there. And the chick grabs him, the penis, pulls him out. The chick's out of the hole, and everyone's safe. And the moral of the story is, if you're hung like a horse, you don't need a Mercedes to pick up chicks.
So there's this guy, and he's feeling really, really awful for a couple weeks. So he decides he's going to go to the doctor. He goes into the doctor, and he's like, "Doc, I've an upset stomach. I've been feeling awful for weeks." The doctor takes a look at him. He's got a carrot up his nose, a banana in one ear, and a cucumber in the other ear. And the doctor's like, "Well, for one thing, you're not eating right."
We're here with Dylan Manna, and he's a graduate student in the physics department, and he has a funny joke for us.
I have a funny joke.
Okay.
Okay, so should I look at the camera or you? I can do a combination.
I'll go ahead.
There are 3 students, all alumni of various universities, standing in a men's room. There's a fellow from Yale. Yeah, I know. But I'm on camera now. They've got a video camera. There's a fellow from Harvard, and there's a fellow from the U of M. And the fellow from Harvard walks up to the bathroom sink. He starts scrubbing his hands, and takes about 2 minutes to do this, takes out a whole bunch of paper towels, dries his hands really thoroughly, and he says, "At Harvard, we learn to be thorough." So the guy from Yale walks over to the bathroom, sinks, and he washes his hands extremely quickly, pulls about half a piece of paper towel, dries his hands thoroughly, very quickly, and he says, "At Yale, we learn to be efficient and environmentally conscious." And so the guy from U of M walks straight out of the bathroom to meet them both, and he goes, "At U of M, we learn not to piss on our hands." And so that's my joke for you. I hope that somewhere in TV land you find that funny. So, what's your name?
That's pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. We're here with Laura Simon, and she's from Cleveland, and she has a joke for us as well.
Okay. Coach Osborne dies and goes to heaven, and St. Peter takes, Coach Osborne on for a tour around heaven. And so he shows him around. He said, "Well, not many people in heaven get their own houses, but since, you did so great in your football season and everything like that, we're going to give you this house." And it's a nice house, with big, Nebraska flag in the middle and all that kind of stuff. And so he looks over and he's like, "Oh, that's nice," but then he looks over on the hill. There's this huge estate, like beautiful, with vines growing down and huge Michigan flags waving in the air. And so St. Peter goes, "Okay, well, the tour is over. Do you have any other questions?" And he said, "Yeah, whose house is that? I mean, I don't understand, because we were co-champions, and I don't understand why Coach Carr gets such a bigger house than we do." And he goes, "Oh, that's not Coach Carr's house. That's God's." That's it. Woohoo! Yeah.
Some of the funniest jokes are the long ones.
Now, you remember this country that used to exist called the Soviet Union? Well, back about 20, 30 years ago, they had this premier Brezhnev. And Brezhnev was going to visit Poland, which, of course, at that time was also part of the communist bloc. And he thought, if I'm going to visit Poland, I ought to bring the Polish people a gift from the Soviet Union to show our solidarity with them. So he decides that what he'll bring is this gigantic portrait called Lenin in Poland. He wants to show the master of Leninist communism itself coming to Poland and making this triumphant entrance into the country. So Brezhnev goes to all the master painters of the Soviet Union and says, "I'd like you to paint this portrait of Lenin in Poland." And all of the painters say, "Well, we are masters of Soviet realism. We cannot paint something that never happened. Lenin never visited Poland, actually." And Brezhnev says, "Come on, use your imagination." And they say, "No, it is forbidden. He never did actually visit Poland, and we are socialists. We only paint things that really happened." So Brezhnev gets a little disappointed, and he goes back to the Politburo, and he says, "What are we going to do?" And the Politburo says, "Well, you do remember the best artist in the country is that dissident Rabinowitz. And we had to send him out to the gulag because he was criticizing our policies in this country. But he is a great painter, and we could ask him." So Brezhnev says, "Okay, let's ask Rabinowitz." And they fly out to the gulag, and they visit him where he's in his little prison, and they say, "Rabinowitz, we know you've been very critical of the Soviet policies, but we promise you, if you paint us this painting called Lenin in Poland, we will pay you so much. We'll give you this nice apartment in Moscow, everything will be set for you and your family for the rest of your life. So Rabinowitz says, sure, why not? Brezhnev's very happy. He and the Politburo go back to Moscow. Well, a few weeks pass, and it's the day before Brezhnev has to go to Poland. So he and the Politburo travel back to the Gulag to see how Rabinowitz is doing. Well, Rabinowitz is standing in front of this huge canvas, and he's got a drop cloth in front of it. And Brezhnev says to him, unveil the painting. Well, he unveils the painting, and there is a picture of a man and woman in bed. And everybody in the Politburo is just taken aback. And Brezhnev yells out, who is that man? And Rabinowitz says, oh, that's Trotsky. And everybody again goes, oh, you know, Lenin's chief rival. And one of the Politburo members says, and who is that woman? And Rabinowitz says, well, that's Krupskaya, Lenin's wife. And Brezhnev thunders, where's Lenin? And Rabinowitz says, Lenin's in Poland.
So there's this guy, and he one morning he wakes up and he's about to go to work. He looks out his bedroom window and he sees there's a big gorilla in his tree. He's like, what the hell? There's a gorilla in my tree. How the hell am I going to get this gorilla out of the tree? So he's like, starts flipping through the yellow pages, and sure enough, there's a gorilla removal service. So he calls up this place and he's like, guys, like, I'll be over in 10 minutes. You just stay put. He's like, okay. This little guy shows up and he's got a chihuahua on one arm and a briefcase in the other. He's like, where's the gorilla? He takes him up to his bedroom and points out the gorilla in the tree. And he says, how are you going to get the gorilla out of there? And he goes, okay. Opens up his briefcase, and inside the briefcase is a real long stick, a pair of handcuffs, and a gun. And he goes, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to climb up that branch right next to the big gorilla. I'm going to take this big long stick, and I'm going to poke the gorilla. And then, when the gorilla falls out of the tree, you need to have the chihuahua and let go of the chihuahua, okay? Now this here chihuahua is now going to run over to the gorilla and bite down on his private parts. And when the gorilla goes like this, you need to put the handcuffs on him. Okay, and then he says, well then, what is the gun for? He goes, that's in case I fall out of the damn tree. Then you shoot that chihuahua. That's my other joke.
Okay, I'm here with Crystal Carter. She's an LSNA. And what's your funny story?
One day, our girl Mandy had tried to come down the hall. We was in base, right? So she tried to come down the hall and moon our girl Uchi, but Uchi knew that she was trying to do it, and she sent her friend Mike out from Easter. So Mandy was home and over. She showed her bare, no clothing, nothing on herself, to Mike from Easter. It was so funny. It was so funny. It was funny.
All right.
I may have died if I hadn't been wearing it.
I'm alive today because of it.
It saved my life.
If you spend time alone and worry about how you get help if you fell, had a medical emergency, or an accident, protect yourself the way these people do with Life Call, the 24-hour emergency response service. Simply by pressing this button, you can instantly summon an ambulance, the doctor, your family, even your next-door neighbor, all without picking up the phone. Just press this button, speak into the air.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
We're sending help immediately, Mrs. Fletcher.
Don't be caught alone.
While we were out in the field asking people to tell us their favorite joke, one of the most popular themes we found are Clinton jokes. So we've compiled several of them for you.
I don't know if you heard, but evidently Clinton just released a press statement where he adamantly denied that there was anything special about Monica Lewinsky. He says she is just like every other intern at the White House. She takes off his pants one leg at a time, just like everyone else.
Okay, so President Clinton and the Pope die on the same day. And they go to St. Peter's, and there's a mix-up. And the Pope gets sent to hell, and Clinton gets sent to heaven. And the Pope's beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. And, you know, he goes to Satan and says, I think there's been some mix-up. I mean, I really should be in heaven.
And Satan says, okay, it'll take us about a day to straighten these things out, but then everything will be okay. So the next day, the Pope is taking the elevator up to heaven, and he meets Clinton on his way down, you know, who's going to hell. And he says to Clinton, oh, I'm really excited. I've always wanted to meet the Virgin Mary. And Clinton goes, you're a day too late. And that's a joke.
What's the difference between President Clinton and the Titanic? Anyone?
What?
Well, only 200 women went down on the Titanic. That's it.
I'm Josh Ginsberg from Philadelphia. I'm a senior in LSA. And have you guys heard about the new game at the White House? Swallow the leader?
You heard what Hillary's saying around the White House these days, don't you?
No, what's she saying?
It takes a village to keep an eye on Bill.
And now for my favorite Clinton joke.
Well, let's see. Bill Clinton was in the Oval Office just recently, and the secretary came with a big folder, and she said, Bill, what do you want me to do with this abortion bill? He said, just pay it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our first program. If you'd like to be included in future editions, please call the station, WOLV, and leave a message for me, Alan Feinberg, your host for Live on Tape. Here's another one. Well, here's another one. My name is Alan Feinberg, and I'm a